Let's begin with a focus on the digital migration, and the Media Owners Association has petitioned the Senate and the National Assembly to pass a motion in both houses seeking to extend the analog switch-off day to 30th May 2015. Meanwhile, the High Court will tomorrow hear a case filed by activist Okia Omtata seeking orders to compel the Communications Authority of Kenya to restore free-to-air TV broadcasts. Those two stories are coming your way.
Houses. So this is a matter that touches on the Constitution. It's a matter that touches on the rights of the media houses under Article 34. It's also a matter which touches actually on the proper implementation of our Constitution, in which the media plays a very critical role. And therefore, when we see what is happening, it becomes a legitimate concern of the Senate, of Parliament, and of the citizenry and the inhabitants of Kenya. And that, the issue of information is very, very important, as you all know. And I am a Christian, and the prophet, I thought it was Prophet Amos said, and therefore if the people of Kenya cannot have information, cannot have knowledge, they'll be destroyed. The implementation of the Constitution will be destroyed. And therefore, that's why we are concerned that the problems that are now bedeviling we must find a very, very urgent solution.
We have asked now, because we lost a month from the time the first license was cancelled, we lost a month. We had asked until the April 30th to migrate. We would like the migration date, if the houses could actually pass a resolution to say, let's set this for May 30th, because we have actually lost a month. This will accord us a time to have the transmitters in place and the set-top boxes. The pay television operators are content aggregators. They get content from here to here, they put it together, they package it and sell to the people. They don't spend any money producing any content. So it's a very cheap way of doing things. Now, with being told that the content of these three media houses, which is by far the richest content we have in this particular market, you can also get that one and send it as part of your bouquet, these guys will be smiling all the way to the bank. Our fear is this: if they reach a threshold of 1 million set-top boxes, they don't really need to hustle so much to get 2 million boxes to the 190 or 3 million boxes to the 190, because their subscriptions from those subscribers is sufficient for them to run the business.
This digital migration infrastructure we're building, we welcomed, and there are other media houses, including K24, including CAS TV, including Family TV, who expressed interest to join our consortium, and we had told them this, when we went to court, it's not because we were the three media houses, but it was more convenient at that time to go as three media houses, but the rest of the media owners were part of the consortium.
It looks like we as private companies are the ones who have taken the responsibility of the government to oversee the migration. Because migration from analog to digital worldwide is the responsibility of the government, each of the governments. In any other country in Europe and Americas, the governments have taken responsibility to make sure that their citizens migrate. Our responsibility is only to put the signal on air, come and collect news from you, go and edit them, put them on air, and the boxes and so on is the responsibility of the government to see that Mwananchi has those boxes. We are now going to borrow money from banks just because we are seeing it as our business, to be able to sell it to Mwananchi, to continue watching, but actually it's the responsibility of the government to be doing that.
But for now, the chairman of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, Isaac Hassan, today appeared before the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission over allegations in the chicken scandal. The EACC is investigating claims that Kenyan Electoral and Exam Council officials received kickbacks from a British firm for awarding them tenders.
If the adverse mention of Kenyan officials in a British corruption case was a chicken scandal, then today the chickens have come home to roost. Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission chairperson Isaac Hassan was the first to appear before the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission to give a statement. In the scandal, directors of a British printing firm were convicted of bribing officials to win contracts.
I am myself innocent of all these allegations. I've been taken through the mud by some of the media houses. I feel very bad about it. I hope that these investigations will vindicate me.
Isaac's appearance at Integrity Center is a culmination of what has been mounting pressure from different quarters to, at the very least, investigate those mentioned in the scandal.
No Kenyan was an accused person. Neither are we a co-accused. We are not called to give evidence. We are not called to give statements. So it's not, I think, correct, Francis, to say because somebody was jailed in UK, the same should apply to Kenyans here.
The EACC now has the arduous task of determining if the Kenyan electoral officials and others in the Kenya National Exam Council did actually receive the bribes as claimed by the two officials of Smith and Usman. Nicholas Charles Smith and Christopher John Smith were found guilty of paying out 47.3 million shillings in bribes to secure election and examination material contracts. Also summoned was Energy Cabinet Secretary Davis Chirchir and the man Trevi Oyombra, who was alleged to have been the link between the UK firm and the Kenyan officials. Trevi will appear before the EACC next week. Former IEBC CEO James Oswago is yet to get summonses to appear before the anti-corruption body. Edith Kimani, KTN.
All right, so starting tomorrow, you may be unable to trade your shares at the Nairobi Securities Exchange. This follows a move by the Kenya Association of Stockbrokers and Investment Bank to suspend trading following a standoff on how to implement capital gains market at the bourse. The brokers are awaiting the determination of the High Court of a petition they filed against the Kenya Revenue Authority over clarity on the tax. KTN's Abiagina has more.
This standoff over the implementation of the capital gains tax has taken a new twist, with stockbrokers announcing that they will be suspending trading at the stock market for almost a month up until the court case is heard. In a statement, it reads in part, the KASIB Council of Members have resolved to suspend trading at the NSC commencing the 20th of February 2015 until 18th of March 2015, pending the ruling of the High Court matter. In essence, suspension of trading means that shares will not be traded at the stock market except for companies that are allowed to trade over the counter. The regulator, the Capital Markets Authority, has dismissed the suspension of trading, claiming that the stockbrokers have no authority to do so. CMA Acting CEO Paul Mudhaura says stockbrokers can decide not to provide services as individuals, but not as a group, adding that the suspension of trade at the NSC can only be executed by the CMA and the exchange. By 5 p.m., the CMA had summoned for an urgent meeting with a view to finding an amicable solution. The stockbrokers found fault with the execution of the capital gains tax law, which in the statement says it does not give them the powers to make remittances to the taxman. The tax, which became effective from January, imposes a 5% tax on all profits on shares and property tradings. Since the introduction of the capital gains tax, trading volumes are said to be down by about 70% over the uncertainty. The brokers say they have been advised by their lawyers and tax advisors not to collect the taxes. In a phone interview with KTN Business, KASIB CEO Willie Njoroge said the institution is open for discussion with the government over implementation of the capital gains tax. He further stressed the need to resolve the issue speedily, as the losses incurred from lack of trading during the 1-month period is unimaginable. On average, billions of shillings are traded weekly at the Nairobi Securities Exchange, a trend that could soon be altered following the suspension of trading. In today's trade, 22 million shares valued at about 1.6 billion shillings changed hands, with a further 1.33 billion shillings worth of bonds were traded, underlying the gravity of what is at stake. The Kenya Revenue Authority, on its part, has maintained that stockbrokers have the sole mandate of collecting and remitting the tax as provided for in the Income Tax Act. For now, investors can only but wait for the next move, even as consultations carry on with the hope to brokering a lasting solution with the relevant authorities. Abiagina, KTN Business.
Let's go back to digital migration. The High Court will tomorrow hear a case filed by activist Okia Omtata seeking orders to compel the Communications Authority of Kenya to restore free-to-air TV broadcasts. The Communications Authority and Information Cabinet Secretary are expected to respond to Omtata's petition that says the Supreme Court never ordered the Communications Authority to terminate free-to-air services, on which many Kenyans depend exclusively for their TV viewership. The activist argues that by implementing the orders of the Supreme Court selectively, the authority, Information CS, Fred Matiang'i, and officials of the authority have ended up violating the Bill of Rights and other provisions of the Constitution. Omtata also asks in his petition why the regulator cannot allow the African Digital Network Group the time they require between now and May before the international deadline of June 17, 2015 to switch off analog. Right now, the High Court is tomorrow set to rule on the landmark security law case in which the opposition, that is CORD, is challenging the introduction of a new set of laws. The High Court will give a ruling in the petition in which CORD argues that the laws, if implemented, will undo the freedoms that Kenyans have fought for years. CORD argues that the ruling coalition broke all the rules of procedure at the National Assembly and forced the passing of the Security Laws Amendment Act, led by councils James Orengo, Paul Mwangi, and Harun Dubi. CORD says the government, through the new laws, is trying to claw back on the freedoms granted by the new constitution. They told the court that the Security Laws Amendment Act infringed on the Bill of Rights and in particular on the freedom of expression, freedom of the media, right to fair trial, right to privacy and right to security of persons. CORD argues that the president is taking over the role of appointing the Inspector General of Police without taking the constitutional mandate surrounding the exercise of that power. The new act seeks to introduce a raft of new clauses, including one that will restrain media houses from publishing photos of dead bodies and reporting on matters under investigation. CORD says this will only serve to make the government unaccountable. Of course, we'll cover that story for you tomorrow as the High Court makes that ruling. Now, more and more Kenyans are turning to the media, particularly radio stations, in search of solutions for their psychosocial and largely relationship problems. This they do through the calling shows where listeners air their problems with the hope of getting advice and guidance. Question is, how effective is this in solving these problems? Sharon Momanyi reports.
Unajua unapozungumza na daktari unalipa ile mahanja mili ya kujua kwa tayari unajua ni daktari yuko hapa.
At the Radio Maisha studios in Standard Group, the Maisha Asubuhi show is on air.
Congratulations! Congratulations!
Popular on the show is the Daktari segment, where listeners who are dealing with a range of social problems get to call in, share the problems with the radio presenters and entire audience with a view to getting help. Take, for example, this caller going by the name Maggie.
Ananiambia mpaka tuoane.
Mpaka muoane.
Maggie is one of the many Kenyans who resort to the media as an avenue of getting help for their psychosocial problems. Days ago, text messages sent into the popular morning show on Classic 105 Radio, which leaked years ago, were reposted on the internet, sparring heated discussions on what Kenyans expose about their private matters. Some of the texts read, "Hi Minor, Mine was worse cause my mom's boyfriend alifanya juu chini tuwe na uhusiano and he succeeded. Kumbe he turned out to be HIV positive. Nime regret sana. Another one reads, Minor, today's discussion has to be longer. We are miserable women. We end up having affairs with relatives. Help us. Like now I'm sleeping with my first cousin. And another one yet reads, Minor, please help me because I found out that I am dating my half-brother. Na nina expect.
Sio wanaume wote ni wabaya. Kuna watu ambao wanaisha tulia na wakwambie tungoje paka ndoa ifike.
Radio Maisha presenters Jalango and Alex Mwakideu say the callers usually just need a listening ear, with some of them coming back to state their progress.
The fact that they know when they come here, we will always do something. They trust that this is the place where they get their help.
But we can't say or call it really trust, but some people just want to hear the third opinion, the second opinion, or just put themselves in you as a presenter, put yourself in their feet, what they're going through, if you can be able to relate to them.
But psychologist Dan Mugera says it is important for people to cultivate the culture of seeking professional help when facing psychological and social problems.
I would want to know whether in this media station there are counseling psychologists who are placed to help such needs. But most of the time you find the journalists themselves are not psychologists, are not counselors.
He says that while a problem shared is a problem half solved, unprofessional help may not yield sustained wellness.
They end up calling and releasing personal information which may be detrimental, may at the end of the day hinder them from growing, hinder them from overcoming their problem. And
a position shared by some Kenyans, with yet others saying they find it beneficial to share their problems.
Ni fikra mzuri ni kukaa chini muongee na vipi yako. Saa ingine pengine ungetaka maoni kutoka kwa wananchi ni sawa.
Naongea na rafiki ambaye najua anaweza nisaidia, lakini si kutangaza mambo yangu kwa redio.
Naweza piga simu nisaidiwe kama niko na shida.
Ukipiga simu ni kama maisha imewashinda hiyo. Hakuna pa kwenda.
All said, question is, would you get yourself some radio therapy? Sharma Manyi, KTN.
Let's get some good news now. The Matatu Owners Association has called on all PSV operators to lower transport fares following the reduction of fuel prices. They acknowledge that fare for most routes on long-distance travel had already reduced by about 10 to 15%, but insist much more needs to be done to reduce fare for travel within a state. The owners, however, say the drop in fares may not be significant because of operational costs on spare parts and garage services.
We still urge our members who are providing services to improve on the reduction, but noting the factors of operations. We are optimistic that there will be more reduction on fares as the fuel prices come down. The challenge would be cost accounting, but we want to share this benefit with those using the service, passengers in this particular case.
Thank you for staying with us. Let's take a look at business news now. Airtel Kenya has unleashed a triple thread bundle service as it seeks to grow its market share in Kenya. The service will offer consumers a combination of data, voice and SMS services at a subsidized bundle rate, a move that is likely to shake up the market. KTN's Charles Gitonga has the details.
Price wars are not a new phenomenon, especially in the country's telecommunications market. Players are constantly introducing new offerings in a bid to retain or attract new customers to their platforms. Airtel Kenya, the country's second largest operator, has introduced an offering targeting data, voice and SMS as it looks to yet again strike up the market.
*544#.
The operator today launched its unlimited bundles as a pocket-friendly option to what its competitors offer in the market. The product will offer customers a combination of data, calls to the same and drive on networks and SMS bundles, all at subsidized rates. For instance, With a daily 50 shillings bundle, a customer on this service will enjoy 100 megabytes of data, 20 minutes of talk time to any network, and 100 short messages to any network. A weekly bundle costing 250 shillings will give a customer 500 megabytes of data, 100 minutes of talk time to any network, and 500 messages to any network. A monthly bundle costing 1,000 shillings will offer a customer 2 gigabytes of data, 400 minutes of talk time to any network, and 2,000 messages to any network. Similar bundles are available for 100, 500, and 2,000 shillings. In addition, customers will be able to continue browsing on social applications and networks even after their bundle is exhausted before expiry. On Safaricom network, 50 shillings will buy you 40 megabytes of data, 200 megabytes for 200 shillings, and 1.5 gigabytes for 1,000 shillings. This is not inclusive of SMS and voice calls, which are charged separately.
We don't want to have any limits there for our customers. We have the different bundles, the dailies, the weeklies, and monthlies, provide you with an ever increase in value in terms of minutes, in terms of MBs, megabytes, and in terms of text. But we need to remember that once you finish these MBs, you will still have access at full speed to all the social sites.
Mobile operators have been training their eyes on the explosion of mobile data to both drive revenues and grow customer numbers. A sector report by the Communication Authority for the last quarter of 2014 indicates that mobile data subscriptions grew by 5.9% in that period to 14.7 million subscribers. Of these, Safaricom has 10.5 million, while Airtel has 1.9 million users. Airtel is hopeful that its new product will help grow its subscription base.
So we're extremely pleased that our customers are responding positively to these innovations, to these products that are giving them more value.
Combination of services into bundles of voice, SMS, and data is now likely to be the next phase of growth in the telecommunications sector. Charles Gitonga, KTN.
Sticking with the capital markets, 3 listed firms have this week issued profit warnings ahead of releasing their full-year results. On Tuesday, listed hotelier TPS Eastern Africa that runs the Serena chain of hotels said earnings would drop by more than a quarter on the back of low tourist activity. On Wednesday, Pan-African Insurance issued the same warning, citing reduced gains from its investment at the Nairobi Securities Exchange. And today, paint maker Crown Paints issued a similar warning, singling out market challenges in its subsidiaries in Tanzania and Rwanda. The company reported a net profit of 213.84 million shillings for the financial year ending December 2013, meaning that this year's earnings will be lower than 160 million shillings. Right, the government has disbursed 860 million shillings as payment to affected people whose lands have been acquired for the Lamu Port project. In this phase, 154 people will receive funds to resettle themselves elsewhere to pave way for construction. Last year, the National Lands Commission received 1.3 billion shillings from the Ministry of Transport. The National Lands Commission will assist those without bank accounts to open their accounts immediately to enable the Commission to make payments directly to them. Land acquisition has been a huge challenge for the government to fast-track construction. The project was launched by former President Mwai Kibaki back in 2012, but little work has happened on the ground. Groundbreaking for the first 3 berths of Lamu Port is scheduled to be undertaken immediately compensation is completed within the first quarter of the year. Great. You're watching Business News. Let's now take a look at the financials market reports. watching KTN Prime. Thank you for staying with us. Let's now take a look at the day's sports news. Now, even with the uncertainty in the local football scene, Mombasa-based Kenya Premier League side Bandari FC has set targets for the soon-to-start season. The coastal side acquired the services of 11 new players, including former Sofapaka striker Anthony Kimani and David Geteri. Geteri jumped ship from ASD Cape Town, and he is expected to give the team an edge this season.
Bandari FC is hoping to improve its 13th place finish in the last Kenya Premier League season. The coast-based team has been hard in training, and not even the sweltering coastal heat will slow the team down. With 11 new signings this season, head coach Tahir Muhyiddin is confident the team can rise and claim a top 8 finish in the league.
Ningependa nifanyie kitu Bandari hapa ambacho hakitasaulika hapa kaunti ya Pwani, kwamba tupate kombe fulani.
Anthony Kimani from Sofapaka and Harambee Stars attacking midfielder David Geteri, who signed from ASD Cape Town in South Africa, are the team's major signings this season. Geteri, who played for Nairobi City Stars before leaving for South Africa, hopes that his experience will propel Bandari to great heights.
Siwezi sema mimi sichezi peke yangu, tunacheza wote, lakini mimi kivyangu nitaweza kusaidia team na nita work very hard to improve hii kikosi.
Geteri says he was approached by other Premier League teams but picked the coastal side due to their dare-to-dream attitude.
Kwanza ni watu wanapenda kusaidia wachezaji wadogo waweze kugrow kwa wachezaji wazuri, pia wana facility zile a professional player ana need.
The side will this year be captained by goalkeeper Wilson Oburu, who is confident of a spectacular season.
Na lengo letu kubwa kwanza haswa ni kuweza kufika katika nafasi nzuri za ligi, na tukiweza kupata kikombe yote majaliwa, lakini kwa sasa jambo muhimu unajua kwamba tutajaribu kadri tuwezavyo, manake tuko kwa ligi, hatujakuja kuzindikisha wenzetu atuwaweze.
According to the Kenya Premier League fixtures, Bandari will kick off its 2015 campaign at home against Muhoroni Youth. Lynn Washira, KTN.
Following the lapse of the deadline set by the Football Kenya Federation for Kenya Premier League clubs to confirm their participation in the new FKF Premier League, the Federation has announced that 14 teams in the Super League will be promoted to the top flight league.
Giving some of those clubs up to tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock, to confirm their participation. To confirm their participation by 10 o'clock tomorrow on our Premier League. Those ones which do not do it by 10 o'clock tomorrow will be replaced, and the league will go on from this weekend, which means we will have new fixtures from this weekend.
Let's go to Nakuru now. Secondary School Rugby League in Nakuru County is set to be even more competitive this year after a local company injected 2.5 million shillings. The schools have confirmed participation in the inaugural Reliable Schools Challenge Cup Championships that is aimed at developing rugby talents from secondary schools in that region. The inaugural Sevens champions for juniors and seniors kicked off last week with the final set for February 28th. The tournament organizers will have the first 3 finishers benefit on repairs of their reception and staff rooms besides high-quality branding.
This has brought in a passion that we work with, and we'd like to sponsor these young men to be models in the society. We want them to walk with confidence, we want them to focus, and we want them to have discipline, which is the state of the game.
Because of maybe funds or sports utility like balls and wares, sometimes that sport is underutilized. It doesn't pick up. So as a company, Reliable Concrete have come up with the initiative. One, not only to sponsor the school, maybe renovation of the staff room or the reception, but also in terms of wares and also football, the balls, and being the pilot project, we want to see how well it will go.
Defending UEFA Club Champions League champions Real Madrid have placed one leg in the quarterfinals of this year's competition, and the clubs owes Cristiano Ronaldo all the praise for scoring one goal and creating the other in the team's 2-0 win away to Schalke. FC Basel and FC Porto shared the spoils in their 1-1 draw. Cristiano Ronaldo ended a 3-game goal drought as Real Madrid took control of the Champions League last 16 tie with a 2-0 win over Schalke. In the next week fixtures, Juventus and Borussia Dortmund will revive memories of the 1997 UEFA Champions League final when they meet in turn for the first leg of the round of 16 tie. Manchester City will be looking to avenge last season's defeat and reach the quarterfinals of Europe's elite club competition for the first time. Arsenal will lock horns with Monaco while Bayern Leverkusen takes Atletico Madrid. That's your online update of the day's top stories. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good night. I'm Linda Ogutu.